I think it's time for us to take a deep dive into something that we recently wrote about.
Yeah.
The power of faith.
Oh, yeah.
To heal and free us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is something that affects every area of life,
It really does.
Not just physically, but emotionally,
Yeah.
even professionally.
And it's something that we find a lot of people are interested in.
Yeah.
So we are going to explore what faith truly means and how it can actually have that power to transform us.
Yeah, and what's really exciting is that we're going to
Yeah.
give you practical steps you can actually take
To strengthen your own faith.
Right.
And we're taking inspiration from, that amazing story in Mark 5.34
Oh, yeah.
of the woman who touched Jesus's cloak
Yeah.
and was healed.
It's a really powerful example of how even when faith feels small, or uncertain,
Right.
it can lead to big change.
So let's start with, what are we really talking about when we talk about faith?
Yeah.
Because it seems like it's more than just believing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It is more than just like a mental assent to a set of beliefs.
Right.
It's really about trust. It's like a
Yes.
deep, abiding trust in a higher power, even when things around us feel really bleak or uncertain.
It's like taking that leap of faith even when you can't see the whole staircase.
Yeah, exactly. Like, think about that woman in Mark 5. I mean, she was desperate. She tried everything.
Right.
And yet she still had that little glimmer of hope
Right.
and reached out. And that's
Wow.
faith in action, right? Like
Yes.
trusting even when you can't see what the outcome's going to be.
It's a powerful reminder that faith is not passive. It requires us to step out and actually take action even when we're afraid.
Yes. And what's fascinating is that, science is starting to really catch up with this. And there's all this research in neuroscience showing that,
Wow.
when we believe in something deeply, it actually changes our brain chemistry and it can impact our stress levels, our resilience, even our physical healing.
So it's not just some abstract concept.
Yeah.
It has a real tangible effect on us.
Exactly. And that leads to another really important dimension of faith, which is the power of surrender.
Okay.
Because when we surrender our worries and anxieties, that need to control every outcome, we actually create space for peace and healing to come into our lives.
Yeah, I've always struggled with that whole letting go thing.
Yeah.
It just feels so counterintuitive.
It's a process for sure.
Especially in a world that's like, go, 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 hustle, strive.
Right. It doesn't mean becoming passive or giving up on our goals.
Right.
It's just recognizing that we're not ultimately in control.
Right.
And that there's a higher power at work who loves us and wants what's best for us.
Right.
And that surrender can actually be so freeing because it allows us to let go of trying to,
Micromanage
every little thing, every aspect of our lives.
Right.
So it's like shifting from I have to do it all to like, okay, I can trust that there's a plan.
I'm being guided even when I can't see it.
Exactly. And that shift in perspective can be so transformative, especially when we're talking about emotional and spiritual healing.
Right.
I mean, so many people find that when they surrender their burdens to a higher power, they experience a profound sense of peace and relief.
That weight being lifted off your shoulders.
Yes. And that's not just anecdotal. There are studies that have shown that, practicing faith,
Wow.
whether it's through prayer or meditation or other spiritual practices, it can actually lower our cortisol levels,
Wow.
reduce anxiety, and even improve symptoms of depression.
So we're not just talking about some feel-good placebo effect here.
No, not at all. And this healing power goes beyond just our emotional and mental well-being.
Okay.
There's actually a growing body of research looking at the link between faith and physical health as well.
This is where it gets really fascinating to me because I'm intrigued by those stories of miraculous healing, but I'm also a bit of a skeptic.
Right. And it's healthy to be skeptical,
Yeah.
to approach these things with a critical mind. But there are so many documented cases of, spontaneous remission from illnesses
Yeah.
that really defy medical explanation. And while we may not fully understand how it works, it's clear that faith can have this profound impact on our well-being.
So are we saying that faith can cure any disease?
I don't think it's about making guarantees or promises like that.
Okay.
But what we're suggesting is that faith can be a powerful force for healing, and that healing can manifest in so many different ways.
Right.
Physically, emotionally, or spiritually.
Right.
It's about cultivating that inner strength and resilience that allows us to actually face challenges with more hope and courage.
And, that resilience, that inner strength can make such a difference when we're going through tough times.
Absolutely. Because When you have faith, you have a source of hope that transcends your current circumstances.
Right.
That even in the midst of darkness,
Yeah.
there's a light guiding you forward.
It's like an anchor in the storm.
Yeah.
That unwavering belief that things will get better even if we don't know how or when.
Exactly. And that sense of hope and trust can be so empowering because it allows us to face challenges with a different perspective.
Right.
Instead of being overwhelmed by fear and despair, we can approach difficulty with courage and determination,
right,
knowing that we're not alone in our struggles.
It's like that saying, faith doesn't make things easy, it makes them possible.
I love that. And what's really exciting is that this power of faith isn't confined to some, mystical realm or limited to Sundays.
Right.
It can and it should impact every aspect of our daily lives.
So how does that play out?
Including our personal relationships.
Okay, so let's talk about personal relationships.
And our work lives.
Because I can see how it might help us cope with the challenges, but how does it actually strengthen our relationships?
Well, for one thing, faith encourages us to see the best in others, even when they're not showing us their best selves.
Okay.
It reminds us that everyone is on their own journey,
right,
carrying their own burdens, and deserves our compassion.
Right.
So it's about approaching relationships with a more forgiving and loving heart, even when it's hard.
So important, especially today when it's so easy to judge and be divided.
Right. And this shift in perspective can make a huge difference in how we interact with our loved ones.
Right.
Instead of getting caught up in petty arguments or holding grudges, we can choose to focus on understanding forgiveness and building those bridges of connection.
We're all connected.
Yes. And that sense of connection can be so powerful, especially when we're facing challenges, because when we know that we're not alone,
right,
that we have people who love and support us, it gives us the strength to keep going even when things are tough.
It takes a village.
Absolutely.
We all need that.
And faith can help us cultivate that sense of community,
right,
both within our families and in our wider social circles.
Okay.
It encourages us to reach out, to offer support to those in need, and to build those bridges of connection across differences.
So it's not just about our personal relationship with a higher power. It's about how we relate to the world.
Exactly.
How we show up.
And that brings us to another important aspect of faith in our personal lives, and that's its ability to help us overcome fear.
Fear is a big one.
Yeah, fear can be so paralyzing.
It is.
It can hold us back from pursuing our dreams and living our lives to the fullest.
I know it all too well.
But here's the thing. Faith is like the antidote to fear.
Okay.
Because when we have faith, we have a source of strength that is greater than our fears.
Right.
We know that even if we fail, even if things don't go according to plan, we're still loved and supported.
So it's about shifting our focus from what if I fail to what if I succeed?
Yes. Faith empowers us to step outside our comfort zones, to take risks, and to pursue those passions with courage and conviction.
That's a good one.
And when we do that, we not only transform our own lives,
right,
but we also inspire others to do the same.
It's like a ripple effect.
Absolutely. One act of faith can create waves of positive change in the world.
And that leads us to, how does faith play out in our professional lives? Because a lot of people might think those two worlds are separate, but I'm starting to see how they're really intertwined.
You're absolutely right. Faith isn't something that we can just, compartmentalize and leave at the door when we go to work. It should inform all our decisions, our interactions, our overall approach to our careers.
So it's about bringing our whole selves to work.
Exactly.
Okay, so how does that actually work in practical terms?
Yeah.
How does faith actually help us navigate the ups and downs of our careers?
Well, for one thing, it can help us find meaning and purpose in our work.
Okay.
It reminds us that our work is not just about earning a paycheck.
Right.
It's about making a contribution to the world, using our talents and skills to serve others.
So it's about seeing work as a calling.
Exactly. And that shift in perspective can be so motivating, especially when we're feeling burned out or disillusioned.
Right.
It reminds us that our work matters, that we're making a difference even in small ways.
It's like finding that spark of joy in those daily tasks.
Yes.
Knowing we're aligned with our purpose.
And that sense of purpose can also guide us when we're facing those difficult decisions in the workplace. When we're not sure which path to take, we can turn to our faith for guidance. We can ask what choice aligns with my values, what decision will allow me to use my skills and talents to serve the greater good.
So it's like a compass.
Yeah.
A moral guide to help us navigate all those ethical complexities that are out there.
Exactly. And that can be especially important in today's business world,
right,
where there can be so much pressure to prioritize profit over people,
Right.
to cut corners, to compromise our integrity for the sake of success.
I've been there. I've seen that. And it's challenging to know what to do.
Right, but faith gives us that framework for making those tough decisions.
Right.
It reminds us that true success is not just about financial gain.
Right.
It's about living a life of integrity,
Right.
of treating others with respect and fairness,
Got
of
it.
using our talents to make the world a better place.
So it's about aligning those professional ambitions with our spiritual values.
Exactly.
And finding that sweet spot.
Where our work is both fulfilling and meaningful.
Right. And when we do that,
we create a ripple effect, not only in our own lives, but in the lives of those around us.
right.
We inspire others to live and work with purpose and integrity.
Right.
And we contribute to creating a more ethical and compassionate workplace culture.
I love that vision.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me think of all the ways faith can be a force for good in the world, not just in our personal lives, but in our professional endeavors as well.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another important aspect of faith in the workplace, and that's its ability to help us navigate uncertainty and change.
Yeah.
You know, the business world is constantly evolving.
It is.
And it can be easy to feel overwhelmed by the rapid pace of change, the fear of job loss, the pressure to keep up with the latest trends.
I've been there.
Right. But here's where faith comes in. It gives us a sense of stability and grounding amidst all that chaos.
Okay.
It reminds us that even when things are uncertain, we can trust that there's a plan for our lives,
Yeah.
even if we can't see the whole picture. So that saying, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Oh, yeah.
Faith helps us find that balance.
I like that.
And that sense of trust and surrender can be incredibly liberating.
Yeah.
Because it allows us to let go of the need to control everything,
Right.
to micromanage every aspect of our careers.
Right.
We can just focus on doing our best, being present in each moment, and trusting that things will unfold as they should.
That weight being lifted off our shoulders.
Yes. And what's fascinating is that the sense of peace isn't just some mystical concept.
Yeah.
It actually has a physiological basis.
Mm-hmm.
There are studies showing that when we practice faith,
Wow.
whether it's through prayer or meditation or other spiritual practices, it can actually lower our stress levels, reduce anxiety, and improve our overall well-being.
It's not just woo-woo feel-good stuff.
Not at all. There's real science backing up the benefits of faith, even in the workplace. And this leads to another important aspect of faith in our professional lives, and that's its ability to enhance our resilience.
Okay.
The workplace can be a challenging environment full of setbacks, disappointments, and competition.
It can be.
It's easy to get discouraged, to feel like giving up when things get tough.
Oh, I've been there so many times.
Right. But faith gives us that extra boost of resilience.
Okay.
It reminds us that failure is not the end of the story.
Right.
It's an opportunity to learn to grow and to come back stronger.
Right.
It gives us that inner strength to keep going even when we feel like giving up.
It's like fall 7 times, stand up 8.
Exactly. Faith helps us get back up, dust ourselves off, and keep moving forward.
I like that.
And this resilience isn't just about bouncing back from setbacks. It's about maintaining a positive attitude.
Right.
Even when things are tough, faith helps us focus on the good, to find the silver linings, and maintain a sense of hope, even in the midst of challenges.
Choose joy.
Absolutely. Faith helps us find joy, even in the midst of difficult circumstances. And that positive outlook can be contagious. It spreads to our colleagues, our clients, and everyone we interact with in the workplace.
Right.
It creates a more positive and supportive work environment, which can benefit everyone.
So it's not just about our personal spiritual growth.
Mm.
It's about creating a more positive, ethical world, starting with our own workplaces.
Exactly. And that's what's so exciting about exploring the power of faith in all these areas of our lives.
Right.
It's not just about individual well-being, but it's about contributing to a more just compassionate and fulfilling world for everyone.
I love that. And that brings us to the question, how do we actually cultivate faith in our lives? How do we strengthen that connection to a higher power?
That's a great question.
And allow it to guide us more fully. But I think we've covered a lot.
We have.
Maybe we should take a pause.
Yeah, let's take a break and come back.
Then we'll come back and talk about that.
Yeah, sounds good. So welcome back to our deep dive on faith. Before the break, we were talking about how faith can be this guiding force in both our personal and professional lives.
And how it's not static. It's something that we can actively cultivate and strengthen. And that's really what I want to talk about. Like, where do we even begin?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think, one that a lot of people wrestle with, because we talk about this abstract concept of faith, this powerful force for good. But how do we actually tap into that?
Make it real in our lives.
Yeah, how do we make it real in our everyday lives? And I think the key is understanding that faith, like any muscle, needs to be exercised to grow stronger. So it's not a one and done deal. It's an ongoing journey.
So it's not about achieving some perfect state of like unwavering belief.
Right.
But just about consistently showing up.
Yeah.
Engaging with your faith, even when it feels shaky or uncertain.
You hit the nail on the head. It's about showing up even when we don't feel like it, even when we have doubts. It's about trusting the process and taking those small steps.
Yeah. Okay, I like that small steps, consistent effort.
That lead to bigger transformation.
But what are some of those concrete steps we can take? Where do we start?
Well, I think one of the most powerful tools we have is prayer. And I'm not talking about, some rote recitation of words, but a heartfelt conversation with that higher power, whatever that looks like for you.
Just a genuine dialogue, sharing our hopes and fears and gratitude.
Yeah.
Even our doubts.
Exactly. Prayer is about opening our hearts and minds to that connection, allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and to receive guidance, comfort, and strength.
I've often found that even when I don't have the words, just sitting in silence, there's a sense of peace that comes from that quiet communion.
Absolutely. And, what's fascinating is that science is actually starting to understand the neurological benefits of prayer.
Oh, wow.
Studies have shown that prayer can reduce stress hormones, increase feelings of well-being, and even improve cognitive function.
So it's not just a feel-good practice. It's actually rewiring our brains for the better.
Exactly. And that brings us to another powerful practice for strengthening faith, and that's meditation.
Now, I've tried meditation, and I'll admit I struggle with it. Quieting the mind always feels like there's a million thoughts buzzing around.
Yeah, it's a common experience. The mind is a busy place. But meditation is not about stopping thoughts altogether. It's about creating space between thoughts.
Oh, okay.
About observing them without judgment and cultivating a sense of stillness and presence.
So it's more about shifting our relationship to our thoughts rather than trying to eliminate them entirely.
Exactly. And there are so many different types of meditation, so it's about finding one that resonates with you. Some people find guided meditations helpful, while others prefer silent contemplation.
Okay.
It's about experimenting and finding what works best for you.
And how does meditation specifically strengthen our faith?
Well, meditation helps us connect with that deeper part of ourselves, that place of stillness and intuition where we can hear the whispers of our inner wisdom. And it's in that quiet space that we can often sense the presence of something greater than ourselves, that guiding force that we call faith.
Like tuning out the noise of the world and tuning into that inner voice, that connection to something beyond our everyday experience.
Exactly. And that brings us to another important practice for strengthening faith, and that's spending time in nature.
Oh, I love that nature has always been a source of peace and inspiration for me. It's like something shifts within me when I'm surrounded by trees or mountains or the ocean.
Yeah, there's something inherently grounding and restorative about being in nature. It reminds us that we're part of something so much bigger than ourselves, that there's this rhythm and flow to life that transcends our daily worries.
Like we're tapping into that universal energy, that life force that flows through all things.
Exactly. And spending time in nature can help us quiet our minds, connect with our senses, and appreciate the beauty and wonder of creation.
Okay.
And it can be a time for reflection, contemplation, listening to that still small voice within.
Like a walking meditation. A chance to clear our heads and open our hearts to the wonders around us.
Yes, and when we approach nature with a sense of reverence and gratitude, it deepens our connection to that higher power, that source of all creation.
Okay, so prayer, meditation, spending time in nature, these are all practices that help us connect with that deeper dimension of ourselves, that place where faith resides.
Absolutely, and these practices aren't meant to be rigid or prescriptive.
Right.
It's about finding what resonates with you, what feels authentic and meaningful in your own life.
Okay.
It's about creating a spiritual practice that nourishes your soul and strengthens that connection to that higher power.
Finding our own unique path, our own way of connecting.
Exactly. And that brings us to another important aspect of strengthening faith, and that's community.
Now, I've always considered faith to be a personal journey.
Yeah.
A relationship between me and my higher power. How does community fit into that?
You're right, faith is deeply personal, but we're not meant to walk this path alone.
Okay.
We all need support, encouragement, and inspiration along the way.
Yeah, it's like that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
I love that. And finding a community of like-minded individuals, whether it's through a church or a spiritual group, or even just a circle of friends who share your values, can be so enriching.
Okay.
It's a place where you can share your doubts, your struggles, your triumphs, and receive support from others who are walking a similar path.
It's like having that cheering section.
Yeah.
You know, those people who believe in you even when you doubt yourself.
Exactly. And being part of a community also provides opportunities for service, for giving back, for making a difference in the world.
Right.
It's a reminder that faith is not just about our personal growth, but also about our responsibility to contribute to the well-being of others.
So connecting with others, sharing our gifts, supporting each other on this journey.
Exactly. And that brings us to another crucial element of strengthening faith, and that's study.
Study, so you mean like reading religious texts or theological books?
That can be part of it, but it's also about being curious about seeking knowledge and understanding. It's about exploring different spiritual traditions, reading inspiring books, attending workshops, or engaging in conversations that challenge our assumptions and broaden our perspective.
So being a lifelong learner, continually seeking to deepen our understanding.
Exactly. And this can involve, studying different interpretations of sacred texts, exploring the intersection of faith and science, or even engaging with contemporary spiritual teachers who are offering fresh perspectives on ancient wisdom.
Expanding our spiritual horizons, opening ourselves up to new ways of seeing and experiencing.
Yes, and the more we learn, the more we grow in our understanding and appreciation of faith. It becomes less about dogma and more about a lived experience, a way of being in the world that informs our thoughts, our actions, our relationships.
So integrating it into every aspect.
Exactly, and this brings us to another powerful practice for strengthening faith, and that's gratitude.
Gratitude. I've heard so much about the power of gratitude in recent years. How does it specifically relate to faith?
Well, gratitude is really a core element of faith because it reminds us that we are blessed, that we have so much to be thankful for, even when things are tough. It shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have, from what's wrong to what's right.
Count your blessings right.
Absolutely. When we focus on the good, we attract more good into our lives.
Okay.
And gratitude also deepens our connection to that higher power, that source of all goodness. When we acknowledge the blessings in our lives, we're essentially saying thank you to that higher power for the gifts we've been given.
Acknowledging that we're not solely responsible for our own happiness or success.
Exactly. There's a force greater than ourselves that's supporting us and guiding us.
Right.
And practicing gratitude can be as simple as keeping a gratitude journal, writing down a few things we're thankful for each day.
Right.
Or it can be about expressing our gratitude to others, letting them know how much we appreciate them.
Cultivating that attitude of appreciation.
Yes, and when we practice gratitude consistently, it becomes a habit of mind, a way of seeing the world that fosters joy, contentment, and a deeper connection to our faith.
So prayer meditation, spending time in nature community, study gratitude, these are all powerful practices that can really help us strengthen our faith and experience its transformative power.
And the beauty is that these practices are accessible to everyone. You don't need any special equipment or training or qualifications to engage with them.
Right.
It's about making a conscious choice to prioritize your spiritual growth, to nurture that connection to that higher power.
Making space in our busy lives.
Exactly. And when we do that, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities. We become more resilient, more compassionate, more courageous, and more connected to our true purpose in life.
And ultimately, that's what faith is all about, right? Living a life that's aligned with our values, our purpose, and our deepest sense of meaning.
Absolutely. It's about trusting that we're not alone on this journey, that there's a force greater than ourselves guiding us, supporting us, and loving us unconditionally.
It's about embracing the mystery of life, the unknown, trusting that even when things are tough, when we don't have the answers, we're still held, we're still loved, and we're still on the right path.
Yes, and that's the beauty of faith. It's not about having all the answers. It's about embracing the journey, the ups and downs, the uncertainties, and trusting that we're being guided to where we need to be.
Living with that sense of hope, possibility, knowing that even in the darkest of times, there's that light within us.
Beautifully said. And that's the message we want to leave you with today, that faith is a journey, a process, an ongoing exploration of the divine.
Yeah.
It's not about perfection, but about progress, about taking those small steps that lead to greater transformation.
So as we continue on this journey of faith, may we all find the strength, the courage, and the wisdom to live lives that are filled with purpose and meaning and joy.
And may we all remember that we're not alone on this path, that we have each other and we have that higher power that's always with us. guiding us, supporting us, and loving us unconditionally.
You know, as we wrap up this deep dive into faith, I just keep thinking about that image from Mark 5.34.
Yeah.
The woman reaching out to touch Jesus' cloak.
So powerful.
Just believing that she would be healed.
Yeah.
It's just such a powerful reminder that,
even a tiny little spark of belief can ignite huge change.
It really can. It makes me wonder if we truly embraced that kind of faith.
Yeah.
That unwavering trust in something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
How would our lives be transformed?
That's the question, isn't it?
It really is.
I mean, if we could just stop trying to control every single outcome.
Let go.
And surrender to that flow of life.
Yeah.
What miracles might unfold?
What if we approached all our challenges with that courage and that determination?
Right.
Knowing that we're not alone, that there's a force greater than ourselves.
Yeah.
Working things out for our good.
It's amazing to think about the fear we could overcome, the relationships we could heal, the dreams that we could pursue.
And in our work lives.
Yeah. Right.
If we saw our jobs as more than just a way to make money, but as opportunities to really use our talents to serve others.
Exactly.
To contribute to something bigger than ourselves.
I mean, the possibilities are endless. We could find so much more meaning in those daily tasks, navigate ethical dilemmas with integrity, inspire others to live and work with purpose.
It all starts with that inner shift.
Right.
That decision to embrace faith.
Yes.
Not just as a belief.
Yeah.
But as a way of life.
It's a way of being.
It really is. And, cultivating faith, it's a journey.
Yeah, it's not a destination.
Not a one-time thing.
It's those daily practices we talked about.
Right.
Prayer, meditation, connecting with nature, surrounding ourselves with supportive community.
It's choosing gratitude over negativity, hope over despair, action over fear.
So powerful.
It really is. And, trusting that process.
Yeah.
Knowing that even when we can't see the whole picture, we're being guided, we're being supported.
Mm-hmm.
We are loved every step of the way.
And I think the truth is, healing and peace await those who are willing to just embrace that power of faith.
So as we end this deep dive, I encourage you to ask yourself, what area of your life are you ready to invite faith into more fully?
Is there a relationship that needs healing? A fear that's holding you back? A dream you've been putting off?
Take some time to think about all the things we've talked about.